Hi friends, my name is Anush Pradhan and I am a practicing chartered accountant. As you know, we bring to you a series of information videos and today's topic for discussion is GST. I am going to give you a clear and logical understanding on the basic concept of GST. This video is highly relatable to everyone working with GST, whether directly or indirectly, starting from the accountant right to the top management. If you are a startup, this video will help you a lot. So what will we be talking about today? These are the 6 questions we'll be taking up and answering each one of them. You all must be having some basic understanding about GST, but what's the level of clarity? I have no idea. So I'm going to take a simple example. I purchase a product for 1000 rupees and I sell this product for 1500 rupees, thereby making a profit of 500 rupees. As simple as that. Let's bring GST into this picture and assume that this product fall under the rate of 12% for GST. While purchasing this product for 1000 rupees, now I have to pay additional 120 rupees. This 120 rupees will be collected by a vendor and the vendor will deposit this money to the government of India on my behalf. This 120 rupees will be my GST credit. This was the first part of the transaction. In the second part, I will sell this product. So while selling this product, I will sell this product for 1500 rupees plus GST. That is 180 rupees. Now this 180 rupees I have to collect from my customer and pay to the government on the behalf of my customer. But one thing I need to realize is that I have already paid 120 rupees. So what I have to pay is 180 minus 120 is 60 rupees. This 60 rupees is something I have to pay in cash and the 120 rupees is something I have already paid from my credit. So this is how GST liability is calculated and payment is made. Also, I would like to add one more point that the example I took, I was a trader. There are many possibilities, like I could be a service provider, I can be a manufacturer. There can be permutation combination where I can be a service provider and a manufacturer and a trader and other permutation combinations. Basically, there are 3 criteria which define do I need a GST registration: turnover limit, interstate transaction and compulsory registration. Turnover limit. Well, turnover limit is different for service provider on one hand and manufacturer and trader on the other hand. For service provider, the limit is 20 lakh rupees and for manufacturer and trader, the limit is 40 lakh rupees. Now the question here arises is what happens when I am a manufacturer and or trader and I am providing service as well? Which limit is applicable to me? Well, the answer is the lower limit. Now, let us take an example that you are a manufacturer and you have a turnover of 35 lakh rupees and you have provided service only for 10,000 rupees. In this case, what will happen? Well, the answer is you will have to take registration because the service element has present in this turnover. In certain states, this limit of 20 lakh and 40 lakh rupees is notified as 10 lakh rupees and 20 lakh rupees respectively. The list of these states can be seen here. Interstate transaction. Transaction between two states is interstate transaction. Whenever you are transacting with a different state, you will need a GST registration irrespective of the turnover that you are having. The states can be any state from the country. The type is compulsory registration. There are certain notified vendors by the government of India who have to compulsorily take registration. One are two more registration type, voluntary registration. If you want to take GST registration, irrespective of the above 3 criteria, you are free to do that. There is nothing in law that stops you from doing that. The fifth type is registered as a casual taxpayer. If you have a seasonal business and you operate for less than a year, you don't want to keep filing your return for the entire year. So what you do is you take a registration as a casual taxpayer. In this, you file your return as long as you do your business and thereafter your GST number is surrendered, you don't have to file your return. Next year, you can take the GST registration again for the same period or for a different period. One more point that I'd like to add in this GST registration part is in GST, once you take a registration and your registration is active, you have to compulsorily file your GST return. You can't make an excuse that you did not have a turnover or there was no transaction whatsoever. Even on those cases, you will have to keep filing your nil returns. Otherwise, there will be heavy late fee. Referring to our previous example, 120 rupees that we paid extra that our vendor collected and deposited to the government on our behalf, that 120 rupees was our GST credit. Similarly, we collected 180 rupees and paid to the government. That 180 rupees was credit of your customer. This chain keeps flowing until the end user. End user is the one who finally consumes the end product or the service, and this person does not get any credit. In the example we took was a simple one product purchased and sold. In real life, there will be multiple product and services purchased and sold. So the question that arises is, do I have to keep a track of one-to-one purchase and sell? The answer is no. Whatever we purchase, the credit goes into a common bucket, and while discharging our liability, we take credit out of this common bucket and use it. Do I get GST credit of whatever I buy? If what you buy is relatable to your business, you get the credit of it. However, some exceptions are there, the credit of which is not available to you because of the GST Act. If you go to a restaurant, you buy food, you eat the food, they charge something extra in the name of GST. That extra that you pay will become your GST expense. You will not get the credit of this GST. Another example is, you go to buy ornaments from a shop, you bought gold ornaments and paid GST on it. You will not get a credit of this also because this is not relatable to your business. However, if you are a dealer in ornaments, you can get the credit of GST paid on the gold ornaments. So this is how GST credit works. As we have seen in our first example, the profit of 500 remained 500 after GST came in. However, we also see that there are certain expenses on which the GST credit is not allowed to us and it becomes an expense for me. So the answer to the question, is GST really an expense for me? Well, a very small part of your GST credit that gets disallowed is your expense. E-way bill is merely a form in which you communicate to the government the movement of goods. What the government needs to know is what is moving and from where to where. Do I always have to take e-way bill? If the value of the goods that are being transported is more than 50,000 rupees, you have to take an e-way bill. In certain states, this limit of 50,000 rupees has been enhanced to 1 lakh rupees. How do I generate e-way bill? Well, there are three ways. There is a dedicated e-way bill website. You can go and generate the e-way bill. There is an application available on the App Store. You can download and make e-way bill there. Or you can send a simple text message and generate e-way bill. The next question that arises is, the distance between my office and my godown is merely 500 meters. Do I have to take e-way bill for such a short distance? The answer is, if I am moving any goods from one place to another from a motorized vehicle, I will have to take e-way bill. 500 meters is a very long distance. For as small as 100 meters, you will have to take e-way bill. What happens when I do not generate e-way bill? When there is a requirement, there is heavy penalty and your goods are liable to be confiscated. In an ideal scenario, if you have less than 50 transactions a day, you don't really need a full-time accountant. A part-time accountant or a chartered accountant who's taking care of your accounts is more than sufficient. But obviously, I'm talking this from purely accounting perspective. If you have other needs, the answer may differ. Why do you need an accountant or a chartered accountant for GST? Well, you need them for making reconciliation. Reconciliation between the credit that you have claimed and the credit your vendor to whom you have given the amount has filed in his return. If there is a difference, you will have to pay the difference along with interest. Will the CA cost me a lot? The answer is, it will cost you a little, but you may actually end up paying more if the reconciliation is not done properly. You know what happens when you take medicine from a medical store without consulting a doctor. You get a temporary relief, but in the long run, you may be affected heavily. Thank you guys, that was my time, and I hope the concept of GST is a little bit more clearer to you now. If you still have more questions, feel free to write them in the comment section. I will answer them all. Thank you so much.